Hello, second graders. This is Mrs. Gilmore. We are going to be working on Unit 4, Lesson 12 today. And we are going to be using what we've learned about addition strategies and subtraction strategies to answer word problems. Okay, the first thing I'd like you to do is take a look at the addition problem I have at the top of the page here. 79 plus 84. So here's an example of a word problem I put together that uses the equation 79 plus 84. When I read it, I'm going to make sure to underline any important information and circle the question that I'm trying to answer. So here's my problem. Mr. Jones baked 79 muffins. I'm going to underline 79 muffins because that's a number and it tells me my unit, what I'm counting, so that's important. Then he baked 84 muffins in the afternoon. So I'm going to underline 84 muffins because that sounds like another important piece of information. So I have 79 muffins in the morning and 84 muffins in the afternoon. Here's the question I'm going to circle. How many muffins did he bake all together? And I'm going to underline the word all together because all together is a clue word that tells me that we're going to put the morning muffins and the afternoon muffins together. So we know this is an addition problem because I'm adding my two amounts of muffins together. So go ahead and copy this chart into your math journal, and we're going to go ahead and do this addition problem now. And we're going to use our addition strategies to figure it out. So I'm going to put 79 plus 84. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my line and I'm going to separate my ones place from my tens place. Okay, so if I was just going to use the carrying addition method, I would start with my ones place and I would start with 9 plus 4. Well, 9 plus 4 is 13. And 13 is greater than 10, which means I'm going to have to put my 3 down below to have my 3 in my ones place. But I can't put my 1 down below my ones place too because I can only have one digit down there. And my 1 in the 13 actually stands for another 10. So I'm going to have to take that extra 1 and I'm going to have to put it either above my tens place, or I know some of you liked to put your extra 10 down below your tens place. So wherever you put your extra 10 from 13, you need to put it in your tens column. So now I'm going to add up my tens. I have 7 plus 8, and 7 plus 8 is 15, plus the extra 1, 10, that I got from my 13, from my ones column. So I have 7 tens plus 8 tens plus 1 10. So 7 tens plus 8 tens is 15, plus another 10 is 16 tens. So I'm going to put my total of 16 tens down below. If you notice, that extra 1 actually counts for 100, an extra 100 that I made. So I have a 3 in my ones place, a 6 in my tens place, and a 1 in my hundreds place. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is I'm going to give you a subtraction problem. And I want you to subtract 141 minus 68. Okay, so if you're going to use your ungroup first strategy, I'm going to separate my ones column from my tens column from my hundreds column. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my ones place. Do I have enough ones to subtract from? No, I only have one 1 to subtract from, so I'm going to have to ungroup to get some extra ones. Now let's go to our tens column. Do I have enough tens to subtract from? I don't, because 4 is a smaller number than 6, and 4 is on the top. So I'm going to have to ungroup to get some more tens. So I'm going to come all the way over to my hundreds column, and I'm going to ungroup one of those hundreds. So this would be like if I drew a picture of 141, I would have 100, 4 tens, and 1 extra 1. So I'm going to ungroup this 100. I'm going to take it away. That's going to leave me with 0 hundreds, but it's going to give me 10 extra tens. So I'm going to add those extra tens. So 10 extra tens plus the 4 that I started with is actually going to leave me with 14 tens now. Okay, so now I have enough tens to borrow one of my tens and ungroup a 10 to get more ones. So I'm going to cross off my 14, and I'm going to cross off one of my tens over in my picture. And that's going to leave me with 13 tens. But ungrouping that 10 is going to give me 10 more ones. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now, with my 1 that I started with, I now have 11 ones to use. So I'm going to subtract 11 ones minus 8 ones. And that's going to leave me with 3 ones. Then I'm going to come over to my tens column, and I'm going to subtract 13 tens minus 6 tens. And that's going to leave me with 7 tens. Then I'm going to come over to my hundreds place, and I see I have 0 hundreds. So my answer is 73. So now that we've done these two equations, I want you to take a look at them, and I want you to tell me, how are these two problems alike? Well, a couple things. In our addition problem and our subtraction, there is a total. Okay, in our addition problem, the total's at the bottom. In our subtraction problem, the total is actually what we started with at the top. I also have 2 add-ins in both of these problems. In my addition problem, my add-ins are what I add together on top. In my subtraction problem, my add-ins are the number that I subtract and the number that I'm left with. So tell me how these problems are a little bit different. Okay, well, in the addition problem, we know the 2 add-ins. So we have 79 and we have 84. But when we started the problem, we didn't know what the total was until we solved it. In the subtraction problem, we know the total because we start with the total. We also know one of the add-ins, but what we're missing is the other add-in. That's what we had to figure out. So what we noticed about our addition and subtraction is when you're adding, in an addition problem, if the total in the ones column, like 9 plus 4 over here, is more than 10, then we have to take that extra 10 and we have to group it as a new 10 and put it over in our tens column, which is what we did over here. We took that extra 10 that we got when we made 13 ones and we put it over in our tens column. Okay? What happens if we have more than 10 tens, like we did when we added 7 tens plus 8 tens plus 1 10? We got 16 tens, so we had to put that extra 1 in the hundreds column here. So we had to make a new group of 100. In our subtraction problem, it's the exact opposite. So when you're subtracting, if there are not enough ones, like what we started with here, 1 minus 8 is what we started with. If there's not enough ones, then we have to ungroup one of our tens, which is what we did with our 14. We ungrouped one of those tens, and we made 10 extra ones, which is what we put over here in our picture. That gave us 11 ones to use. Then, if there's not enough tens, which is what happened here in our tens column, we had 4 minus 6 is what we started with. If you don't have enough tens, then you have to come over to your hundreds column and ungroup one of your hundreds to make 10 extra tens, which is what we did. And that gave us 14 tens then to use for our tens column. So when we ungroup and when we make new groups in addition and we ungroup in subtraction, we're doing the exact opposite. Now open up your SAB and turn to page 189. Okay, on page 189, you're going to be working with your addition and subtraction strategies to answer the word problems on these pages. And the first thing I want you to make sure you do when you're solving the word problems is to underline any important information. So let's do number 1 together. Number 1 says, Teresa has 45 blocks. So that is going to tell me what we're counting and the number that she starts with. Okay, so I'm going to underline that important information. Then she finds 29 more. I'm going to underline 29 more. That's important. Now I'm going to circle my question. How many blocks does Teresa have now? So the next thing I want you to do is to make a math mountain. So we need to ask ourselves, do we know the total, an add-in, or both of my add-ins, and we're missing the total? Do we know how much Teresa started with? We do. She started with 45 blocks. We also know that she added more blocks to what she had when she found 29 more. The question is asking us, how many blocks does Teresa have now with those two amounts of blocks all together? So what we're missing is the total amount of blocks Teresa has, which means I have to put my empty box for my total. I have one of my add-ins, that's 45, and I have my other add-in, which is 29 blocks that she found under the couch. Now that tells me what strategy I'm going to use. If I have both of my numbers on the bottom of my math mountain, both of my add-ins, then I can add. So I'm going to add 45 blocks plus 29 blocks. So I'm going to start with my ones column, and I'm going to separate my ones column from my tens column. Any extra tens I have to put in my tens column. So I'm going to add 9 plus 5, and that's going to give me 14. So I have 4 in my ones column, and my extra 10 that I made with 14, I'm going to put in my tens column. Okay, then I'm going to add my 4 tens plus my 2 tens, that's 6 tens, plus the extra 1 10 that I got from 14, and I'm going to put 7 tens all together down below my tens column. So that tells me that Teresa has 74, and I know I'm counting blocks, so my label is blocks. I'm going to say 74 blocks is what she has for her total. Now number 2 is going to be a little bit different, so let's take a look. Karina's class makes 163 masks. I'm going to underline that. They hang 96 of the masks in the library, so they're getting rid of some of the masks. The question is, how many masks do they have left? I'm going to underline left. So this one's a little different because this time I know they started with 169 masks that they made. So I have my total for this one. I know how many masks they hang in the library, but I don't know how many masks they have left. So for this problem, I have my total on top and one of my add-ins, which tells me I have a problem to subtract to find my other add-in. So I would do my subtraction 163 minus 96. So I'm going to have you go ahead and do that. So for the next couple problems on this page, and then the next SAB page, page 190, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be underlining the important information and then making any math mountains to show you whether you need to add or subtract. Then you're going to go ahead and do that addition or subtraction for that problem to get your answer. Then put your answer and the label down. Then make sure you check your SAB pages with the teacher before you go on to Unit 4 extensions.